Welcome Saviors, GH here. Today we're gonna talk about multi-weapons. And without further ado, let's go straight to the point. So let's do this. Okay, multi-weapon is a system in the game wherein you can combine two weapons so that you can use other weapons' photon arts on the main weapon you're using. And by doing multi-weapons, you don't have to switch, which means less downtime and more DPS. And in most cases, it means having an additional utility photon art. Okay, a few things to remember when multi-weaponing. You can only multi-weapon two of the same type of weapons. Like for example, a Razor Gear weapon. It can only be multi-weaponed with another Razor Gear weapon. You cannot multi-weapon a Razor Gear weapon with a Bayalto weapon. Another thing to keep in mind is you will lose the secondary weapon you're gonna use for multi-weaponing. And because of that, you don't need to upgrade the secondary weapon you're gonna use for multi-weaponing. Okay, here's an example. I have a Razor Gear launcher here. And for some reason, I want to multi-weapon a Razor Gear dual saber to it. And as you see, my Razor Gear dual saber is plus 40 and unlocked. Do not multi-weapon this because you can use a plain plus 0 Razor Gear dual saber and it will be fine. And for the strength of the weapon, the power of the base weapon will also apply to the multi-weapon gear. Okay guys, please pay attention. This is important. Another thing about multi-weapon is it allows us to use the weapon action and normal attack of other classes, even if they're not our subclass. Look at this. As you see here, I'm a gunner force. And my weapon at the moment is a twin machine gun multi-weaponed with a wired lance. If you think about it, I shouldn't be able to use a wired lance. But turns out, if you multi-weapon another weapon even though it's not usable by your class, you will still be able to use its normal attack and weapon action. Which is great because in most cases, the weapon action is all we need. Now to be more specific about the multi-weapons, I will be doing a guide for each of the classes and there will be timestamps for each. We're gonna start with Hunter. If you're using Sword or Partisan, the primary choice is Wired Lance because Wired Lance is great for mobbing because of Vein Mixture in Wired Lance's weapon action because it can be used to attack the surroundings. And furthermore, the Wired Lance weapon action is also great for getting close to the enemy, Attack on Titan style. So in terms of utility, Wired Lance is a great option. Another alternative is Rifle because it will give you mobility and range attack because of its normal attack and weapon action. And if your subclass is Ranger, it will give you homing darts, which is great for mobbing, then spread shot, and a few weapon action skill like grenades and mines. And if your subclass is Gunner, then you only get homing darts and spread shot. One more option is Thales because of its weapon action, which can summon an auto-attacking Thales that will help you recover a bit of PP. It's not exactly great, but if you don't like Wired Lance or Rifle, then you're stuck with Thales. Now you ask, how about if my main weapon is Wired Lance? The primary choice is either a Partisan or Sword because those weapons will help with single target damage. Now, multi-weapons for Fighter. If you're using either a Twin Dagger, Double Saber, or Knuckles, the primary choice is Wired Lance because Wired Lance will help with getting close to the enemy. Even if your subclass is not Hunter, you can still use Wired Lance for multi-weaponing and it will still allow you to use a Wired Lance weapon action. And if Hunter is your subclass, then you can also use Wired Lance's Vein Mixture for mobbing and the weapon action's AoE attack. And if you don't want Wired Lance, then Rifle is a decent option for its mobility and range. And if your subclass is Ranger, it will give you homing darts, which is great for mobbing, then spread shot, and a few weapon action skills like grenades and mines. And if your subclass is Gunner, then you only get homing darts and spread shot. Another option is Thales because of its weapon action, which can summon an auto-attacking Thales that will help you recover a bit of PP. It's not exactly great, but if you don't like Wired Lance or Rifle, then you're stuck with Thales. Next is multi-weapon guide for Ranger. Now if you're using either launcher or rifle, you should multi-weapon both because rifles enable the use of light rounds when you're a Ranger, and it gives mobility with I-frames, also homing darts, which is great for mobbing, then spread shot, and a few weapon action skills like grenades and mines. And launcher because it gives you multi-launch, which will help you hit enhancers in hard to reach parts, because multi-launch can hit enemy parts with pinpoint accuracy, even if it's behind an enemy. And launcher is also great because optimal distance doesn't apply to launchers, which means you don't have to worry about your distance from the enemy. And if you don't like to multi-weapon both rifle and launcher, and you're using rifle or launcher, then try out sword, because it will give you the ability to guard, which will help you protect yourself from hard-hitting attacks. Then of course, if you don't want a sword, Talus is always there because of its weapon action, which can summon an auto-attacking Talus that will help you recover PP. Now, multi-weapon for gunners. Of course, you're using a twin machine gun if you're a gunner. And the primary weapon for multi-weaponing is wired lance, because twin machine gun benefits from being close to the enemy, and wired lance can help you keep a close range on the enemy and also give you a much better mobbing capability. Another option is Talus because of its weapon action, which can summon an auto-attacking Talus that will help you recover PP, or you can try out sword, which will give you guard that can help you defend against hard-hitting attacks. Next is multi-weapon guide for force. If you're using either rod or Talus, you should multi-weapon both, because if you multi-weapon Talus to a rod, it can give you extra PP recovery to the auto-attacking Talus weapon action, and it will help you cast more elemental attacks. And if you multi-weapon a rod to a Talus, rod will give you the ability to parry and do an elemental bullet counter attack that will help you build Barta block and Zondeclad much faster. Now, if you don't want to multi-weapon both, and you're using either a rod or Talus, rifle is a decent option that can give you mobility due to its weapon action slide and shoot. And if you have a subclass that can use a rifle, homing darts can help you with mobbing. Now, multi-weapon guide for Techter. If you're using either a wand or Talus, you should multi-weapon both, because if you multi-weapon a Talus to a wand, it can give you extra PP recovery through the auto-attacking Talus weapon action, and it will help you cast more elemental attacks. And if you multi-weapon a wand to a Talus, it will give you the ability to parry and do counter attacks. Now, if your subclass is force, then you might want to try to multi-weapon a rod to either a wand or Talus, because rod will give you the ability to parry and do an elemental bullet counter attack that will help you build Barta block or Zondeclad much faster. And that's my multi-weapon guide, and if you have any more questions, just ask in the comments, because I know there are specific weapons that you're curious about. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, share, and then subscribe to be part of the Gaming Hardcore family. And as always, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.